Welcome, Transformer fans. My name is Composite Enerjoe, and today's review will be on the Transformers Power of the Primes Voyager class Inferno. And here he is in his alt mode, which is basically a red fire truck. More specifically, this vehicle mode is based, more like inspired, by the Rosenbauer Panther 6x6 fire truck. And I kind of see it, like especially here in the cab of the vehicle. I see where they were inspired by that vehicle. But yeah, it's not really like a one-to-one representation. That's why I said it's more like loosely based. So yeah, that's what this is. But it's still just basically a red fire truck. And yeah, check it out. It's got nice bits of details. I like the fire department logo on the side. And yeah, very nice. He comes with 8 wheels, all functioning. Oops, this fell out. And each wheel allows him to roll quite well, which is nice. He does come with some accessories. These 2 blasters here, you plug in on the side, which are these 2 things. So I'll put them off to the side. And since he's from the Power of the Primes line, he does come with these accessories, which are these. These are basically combiner feet. Because all Voyagers in both Power of the Primes and in Combiner Wars, all the Voyager classes would be combiner chests, whether it made sense or not, this guy included. So he comes with these combiner feet, which are also called Prime Armors. And because he's from Power of the Primes, he actually comes with a Enigma. This is basically another Autobot Enigma, as they would call it, because lore-wise, how Transformers would normally combine together, they would require the leader of the group would require an Enigma combination. So this would be Inferno's, which is the Autobot one. Trying to remember, I believe the Alita 1 figure from Power of the Primes also had like a variant of this, which is also an Autobot Enigma, I believe. So we'll put this off to the side. Although, might as well mention it, I like to store these parts like right here on these little ports. So I usually have them reversed, but I pretty much like storing them there, and I think it doesn't look too bad. It adds a little bit of bulk to his vehicle mode, but that's just something that I like to do, so I'll set him off to the side. And that's pretty much it for his accessories and his vehicle mode associated with the accessories. Articulation. He does have some, which is mainly with his ladder. There's a hinge back here, so you can lift up the ladder. And I believe, yeah, you can even rotate this little, I don't know what this is called, but this is basically a seat. And if you look inside, you can actually, let's see if I can get it. I don't know if I can see it, but there's actual detailing. Hold on. There, I can kind of get it. There's actually texture and detailing in there, like a floor. So essentially, this is that perch that a firefighter would sit in. And they would use these fire hoses and this water tank to like put out fires while on top of the ladder. So that's what it is. So you have a hinge here, hinge there, and it can rotate 360, which is nice. Put that back down. And that's pretty much it for his vehicle mode. So on to the robot, which is not too complicated. So first things first, I believe you lift this up, then take this hinge down and fold it in. Open this up, and then you connect this to here, and do the same on the other side. So pretty much the ladder is taken care of. Next up, we go to the robot. So you come over here, separate this, lift this up, then you come in here, lift this up a bit, and bring it out, and then you make sure that this little hinge here goes in all the way. So angle it like so, and push it in. There we go. If you hear that click, you did it right. So same thing on this side. There we go. And then you rotate his legs. So this is the front of the robot mode. Let me angle it up a bit since he's getting tall. And for this part, it's pretty easy. Just separate and bring down his arms. Face forward, bring it down, bring it down. Then for this piece, you rotate and fold it down, like so. And then pop down the chest, pop up the head, and fold it back in. And here we have Inferno in his robot mode. And it's a pretty darn good looking robot mode, if I say so myself. So, you get a close up and check out the head sculpt. Very, very nice head sculpt. I really like this sort of stoic expression he's got. And even the bits of detail under the eyes. I don't know what that is, but under each eye you can kind of see like a line of what could be circuitry. It's very nice. Very nice detailing. And let me lift him up a little more. There we go. So yeah, very impressive. I really like this. I really like how this looks. He's one of those figures where I think I ended up liking better in person than like from promotional material and stuff. Never had any plans to get him. Also, onto articulation. Head is on a ball joint, I believe. Yeah, it's on a ball joint. Arms can go out this far. So you can go out this far, rotate 360, swivel and bend at the elbow. No waist. The legs can go out that far, forward, back, swivel at the thigh, and a very nice bend at the knee. No ankle because he's a little older, but yes. Oh, make sure that, there we go, clicks into place. But yeah, he has pretty good articulation, and you can actually use the ladder setup as sort of a third leg or, you know, a stand to help him stand up. So you can have him do the dynamic poses and it doesn't cause him to, you know, fall over. Now for his accessories, you have his two blasters, which you can just hold in each arm, or you can also combine them to have one big rifle, which you can also hold in each arm. However, this is more of a carryover from his, well, I might as well say it now. Inferno here is basically a repaint with a slight retooling of the Combiner Wars Hotspot, who would combine to form the chest of Offensor. And Hotspot also had these weapons, so this is just a carryover from there. Still, they're pretty decent weapons. The Combiner weapon is not that great. It's just one big gun, one long gun, really. So yeah, you can do that and that. However, there is another thing which I found really neat that you can do, which involves the prime armor. And that is, if you come back here and you plug the armor, whoops, I said if you plug the armor, hold on, into these ports here, these little holes, and you have it like this, make them a little, let me raise this up a little bit more. You can then plug these things on here, and then you've essentially created some shoulder cannons. Massive shoulder cannon, which I'm not gonna lie, I really like this. To be honest, this is what sold me on getting this figure. This sort of little arm weapon up mode. This looks really cool. To the point where I kind of wish that Hotspot, because I don't think Hotspot can do this. Kind of wish that both Hotspot and Onslaught could also be able to pull this off. But I don't think it works because these prime armor things are not the same as the combiner hands and stuff, the combiner feet from the previous wave, so you couldn't really do this. But I really like this. So this is sort of how I have Inferno displayed, like this. So let me take this off. And that is pretty much for the accessories. So I'm kind of unsure what to do next. Well, the standard stuff of, here's the size comparison. Here is Ratchet. Here is Cliff Jumper. You can see he's a pretty good size for a Voyager. How Voyagers used to be. So yeah, I feel like I'm gonna sort of skip a step a little bit because he has a combiner form, but I don't want to go into it just yet. So I'm gonna do the quick mini history. So who's Inferno? Inferno is a Generation 1 character who was part of the Autobots. And his personality is basically a firefighter. he's almost like the epitome of like a rescue of a rescue bot, if you want to call him that. Like he's always like in any situation, he's like the first one in, last one out. He's very gung ho about what he does, and even though he really prefers to fight, to fight Decepticons, he is aware that he needs to get his job done. So if there's somebody that needs saving, he will always make that his priority. What else? He also has a friendship with the Autobot Red Alert. And usually, not in this case, but usually Inferno shares a body mold with another character by the name of Grapple. They're usually like repaints of each other. However, in this case, this Inferno is a repaint, slight retooling of the Combiner Wars Voyager class Hotspot. And then that mold was then more extensively retooled into the Combiner Wars Voyager class Onslaught. That's why I mentioned Onslaught before. But yeah, so that's pretty much it for the character. So he's a pretty good character and overall pretty solid figure. If you had either the Onslaught or the Onslaught or Hotspot, I feel that this figure is a bit more refined than those others. Because I remember with my Onslaught, because that's the one I have, the legs, I had a problem with them being a little loose. I didn't know if that was just the design with Onslaught or which is my particular figure. But Inferno here does not have any of those flaws. He is a very solid and well done figure. He's very refined is like the best way I can describe him. Since he's like the third use of that mold, like third or fourth use of that mold. So now I get to his combiner form, which is not really his chest mode, and that's only because it's a carryover from Hotspot. So it's basically a red Defensor, so let's get onto it. First things first, get in here. Then you come in here and lift this up. So you plug that here, fold up, plug it here. Like it almost feels like you have to go into his into his vehicle mode. So lift this up, have it like this. Extend. Well, not yet. Don't extend that yet. First, you gotta get the feet ready. Then you come in here and basically have it transform kind of back into his vehicle mode. I'll say that overall his transformation is pretty simple into both modes. So this is ready to go. So take him over here. We rotate this. We extend this out. Rotate. Fold it back down. And if you line it up correctly, you can it pegs all into place. And then, and this is pretty neat, we fold this down. Fold this down. Like so. Separate the legs. Feed this under the legs. Snap that over, around, plug into there. Then this will plug using these prongs into here, into where his head usually is. So you put that in there. There we go. It'll click into place. Then you line back up. This plugs into here. This plugs into here. And then, I find that very, very clever how you can do that. And then to reveal the head, you just bring these pieces down. Then you flip this up and rotate. And here we have Inferno's Combiner chest mode, the Combiner torso. And if you want to add some extra flair, which I tend to do, you can take his little blasters here and plug them here to add a little more flair. And unfortunately, I don't have any either Combiner Wars Deluxe figures or basically any Combiner Wars Deluxe figures to form the limbs. However, in the instructions, the team he's supposed to combine with officially are 3 Terracons and the Deluxe Nova Star for some reason. So he's basically one of those bonus combiners that they tended to make, which is similar to that of like Skylynx. It was the Skylynx and the Elita 1 among others, but those are the two that I believe those are the two that I ended up getting. And they had combiner forms, something like this, where they would just combine with miscellaneous characters. Now, unlike, and this kind of disappointed me. Unlike Skylynx and Alita 1, Inferno here, this combiner form you see in front of you does not have a name. I know, it's kind of disappointing. He doesn't have a name. While Skylynx, his combiner was called Skyrain, and Alita 1's was called Alita Infinite or Infinitus? No, it was Alita Infinite, fairly certain. But this guy, they didn't bother giving him one, which is a shame. I mean, he's basically Red Defensor, but yeah, they could have at least given him a name. So I think another step. You bring these panels down. There we go. Forgot that, and that's where you're supposed to slide in the combiner, the other characters, the other limbs from either Combiner Wars or Power of the Primes. But yeah. So since this combiner does not have a name, and I looked him up, I might as well just show off his head sculpt. It's actually a very cool head sculpt. He still has that sort of bits of like open looking tech like right under his eyes. But yeah. Whoops. So I sort of came up with two names I can give him. One goofier than the other. The first one I thought of was, since he's basically a Red Defensor, I'm thinking, what's the opposite of defense? Defensor. Why not call him Offensor? Because I'm funny. So, yeah, you can just call him Offensor as being the opposite of Defensor. Or the other one I thought, which is, since I wanted to keep his original name of Inferno, I figured why not call him Infernotron? And that's just his combiner. Kind of like sort of a Computron, but replace compute with Inferno. So yeah, I'm just going to call this little combiner thing Infernotron. Or Offensor if I'm feeling, kooky that day. So yeah. This is pretty much Inferno. The figure by itself is very solid. I consider him to be a more refined version of what came before, the Hotspot and the Onslaught. And the combiner form, it looks neat. Like, I think this looked cool when I saw Defensor do it. But, yeah, it's just a shame they didn't really put any more thought into this combiner form. And to be honest, I like the standalone Voyager, the standalone robot mode a little better than this. This is neat, but I much prefer Inferno by himself. Still, it's a nice option. So, yeah, overall, this is a solid figure. If you can find this guy, like, cheap, I think he's worth picking up if you haven't gotten his other previous ones. I figured if you already have a Hotspot or the Onslaught, there's no real point in getting this figure. Well, maybe not Onslaught, but if you already have, like, Hotspot, I don't see a point of getting him unless you just really wanted to just have Red Defensor, if this really tickles your fancy. So, yeah. Like I said, overall, solid figure. Not too big of a fan of this combiner form thing, but I did end up liking the robot and vehicle mode a lot better than I thought. So yeah, so this has been my review of the Transformers Power of the Primes Voyager class Inferno. This is Composite Enerjoe signing off. Peace out.